If you rely on Supplemental Security Income or SSI to pay your bills, I have an important update that might catch you off guard if you aren't prepared. There is a specific change coming to the calendar next month, and the bottom line is this. You will not receive a payment from the Social Security Administration during the actual month of March 2026. I know how that sounds. It sounds like a mistake, a budget cut, or a terrifying delay. I can almost hear the collective sigh of frustration. When you are living on a fixed income, every single dollar is already spoken for. Whether it's the $80 for your heart medication or the $400 you've set aside for the electric bill, your budget doesn't have room for missing checks. Today I'm going to clear up the confusion. I'll explain exactly why that March check isn't arriving in March, when you'll actually see that money, and how the 2.8% COLA increase is shifting the math for your household. I'm also going to talk about the rising Medicare Part B premiums that might be shrinking your net pay. Stick around until the end because I'm also going to address some of those viral rumors about bonus checks and stimulus payments that have been circulating on social media. I'll tell you what's real and what's just noise so you don't make a costly mistake with your rent money. My name is George, and I've spent years helping folks navigate the complex world of federal benefits. I'm not a government agent. I'm just a neighbor who likes to read the fine print so you don't have to. I believe that when you have the right information, you have the power to stay ahead of the game. Let's get into the details of what's changing and how to protect your wallet. The biggest headline is that SSI recipients will see a blank space on their calendar for March. This isn't a policy change or a budget cut, it's a calendar quirk. Usually SSI is paid on the first of every month. However, March 1st, 2026 falls on a Sunday. The Social Security Administration has a long-standing rule. If the first falls on a weekend or a federal holiday, they send the money out on the last business day of the previous month. Because of this, your March payment will actually arrive on Friday, February 27th, 2026. In real-life terms, this means you will get 2 payments in February and 0 in March. If your individual benefit is the maximum of $994, you'll see that hit your account at the end of February. It feels like a double payment, but I want you to be very careful. It is not a bonus. It is your rent and grocery money for the next 31 days. If you spend it as soon as it hits in February, you will have a very long, very difficult wait until the April 1st payment arrives. Think about it this way. You have to make that February 27th deposit stretch all the way through the 31 days of March. That's 5 full weekends of groceries and 4 full weeks of gas or bus fare. If you treat that late February deposit like a windfall, you might find yourself short when the landlord knocks on March 1st. We are now a few months into the 2026 Cost of Living Adjustment, COLA, which was set at 2.8%. I want to be honest with you, while any increase is good news, I know that for many of you, this hasn't felt like a raise at all. Let's look at the numbers. For the average retired worker, that 2.8% boost added about $56 per month to their check. In a world where a carton of eggs, a gallon of milk, and a pack of chicken have all climbed in price, that $56 gets swallowed up before you even leave the grocery store. For SSI recipients, the maximum individual payment went from $967 last year up to $994 this year. That extra $27 a month for SSI recipients is helpful, but consider this. The average utility bill has climbed by nearly 10% in some regions due to energy market volatility. If your electric bill goes up by $35, your increase of $27 actually leaves you $8 short every single month. This is why it feels like you're running on a treadmill that's moving just a little bit faster than you can keep up with. There is a piece of bad news that I have to share because it affects your bottom line. While Social Security gave you a 2.8% boost, Medicare Part B premiums also increased. In 2026, the standard monthly premium for Medicare Part B jumped to $202.90. For many of you, that premium is deducted directly from your Social Security check. This means that out of that $56 average COLA increase we just talked about, Nearly $18 of it is taken right back for health care. Instead of having $56 more for your life, you might only be seeing about $38. When you translate $38 into real world terms, that's maybe one extra trip to the pharmacy or a tank of gas. It doesn't leave much room for the breathing room we all hoped for. It is very important to know which bucket you fall into, because not everyone is affected by the March calendar shift. SSI recipients only, you are the ones getting paid early on February 27th. You must be the most careful with your budgeting. Pre-May 1997. Recipients, if you've been on the rolls for a long time, or if you receive both Social Security and SSI, your Social Security portion is paid on the 3rd of the month. Since March 3rd is a Tuesday, your payment will arrive exactly on time. You won't have the gap month problem. Birthday-based payments. If you receive standard retirement or SSDI benefits, your March dates follow the usual cycle. Born 1st 10th, March 11th, born 11th 20th, March 18th, born 21st 31st, March 25th. If you are in these birthday groups, your March will be a normal month. You get paid in March for the previous month's benefits. But even then, remember that the 2.8% COLA is already baked in, so don't expect another jump in your check size next month. If you are under full retirement age and you're working a part-time job to make ends meet, the rules have changed slightly this year. You can now earn up to $24,280 a year, about $2,040 a month, without it affecting your Social Security check. For every $2 you earn over that limit, the SSA will withhold $1 of benefits. I've talked to folks who took an extra shift at the local hardware store during the holidays, only to find their March check completely gone because they accidentally crossed that threshold. If you're earning extra money to cover the fact that the COLA didn't quite cover your groceries, keep a close eye on that $24,180 number. If you think you're going to go over, call the SSA now. Don't wait for them to find out and send you an overpayment notice 6 months from now. I want to tell you about a lady I spoke with recently named Martha. Martha lives in a small apartment and manages a tight budget of about $1,400 a month between her small pension and her Social Security. Last year, a similar calendar quirk happened where she got paid at the end of the previous month. Martha saw that extra deposit hit her bank account on a Friday. Thinking she had a bit of a windfall, she decided to treat her grandkids to a nice dinner at a diner and bought a new pair of sturdy walking shoes she'd been needing, spending about $150 total. 2 weeks later, on March 1st, when her rent was due, she logged into her bank app and realized that the extra money she spent was actually her March rent money delivered early. She didn't have another check coming for 4 more weeks. Martha had to visit a local food pantry just to make it through the final week of the month. It was humiliating for her, and she felt like she'd failed. But she didn't fail. The system is just confusing. That's why I'm making this video. I don't want you to be Martha. I want you to see that February 27th deposit and say, nope, that's for March 1st, and leave it untouched until the calendar turns. You may have seen headlines or breaking news videos on Facebook and TikTok claiming a new $2,000 stimulus or extra fourth check for March 2026. Some of these videos look very official, using AI-generated voices or stolen news clips. I need to be very direct. These are not true. There is no new stimulus bill moving through Congress right now. There are no bonus checks from the SSA. The extra payment people are talking about is simply the March 1st payment arriving 2 days early on February 27th. Please do not plan your budget or make any big purchases based on rumors of unconfirmed money. Scammers use these bonus check stories to get you to click on links where they ask for your Social Security number to verify your eligibility. The SSA will never ask you to click a link to get a COLA increase or a bonus. If it doesn't come from an official.gov website or a verified notice in your physical mailbox, treat it as a myth. If it sounds too good to be true in the world of Social Security, it almost always is. I also want to touch on the bad news we often hear about Social Security going bankrupt. You might hear people saying that by 2032 or 2033, the checks will stop. Let's breathe a sigh of relief together. The checks are not going to stop. Even if the trust funds were to run dry, which is still years away, the system would still be collecting taxes from workers. Under current law, even in a worst-case scenario, the SSA would still be able to pay about 77% to 80% of scheduled benefits. Now, a 20% cut would be devastating, and I'm not downplaying that, but I want to reassure you that the March 2026 missing check has nothing to do with the trust fund's health. Your money is there, it's just moving dates. Don't let the Social Security is dying headlines scare you into making panicky financial decisions today. Knowledge is only good if you use it. Here is what I want you to do today to make sure you stay in control of your money. Mark your calendar. Physically write, March rent money arrives on February 27th. If you use a digital calendar, set an alert for that morning so you aren't surprised by the balance. The two envelope method. If you still use cash, put that February 27th payment in a separate envelope. If you use a bank, consider moving that specific amount into a savings sub-account for 48 hours so you don't accidentally spend it on a grocery run on the 28th. Audit your autopays. Many of us have our phone, internet, or insurance set to autopay on the first of the month. Since the first is a Sunday, some banks might process those on Monday the 2nd. Ensure your early payment is still sitting there to cover those hits. Check your Medicare deductions. Log in to your My Social Security account at ssa.gov. Look at your benefit verification letter. It will show you exactly how much is being taken out for Medicare Part B $202.90 so you know your net amount. Beware of National Slam the Scam Day. March 5th, 2026 is actually a day designated by the SSA to raise awareness about fraud. Expect a lot of news stories that week. Use that as a reminder to never give your info over the phone to someone claiming there is a problem with your account. I know it feels like the rules are always changing, and it's exhausting to keep up. It feels like every time you get a few extra dollars, the cost of a bag of oranges or a gallon of gas goes up by 10. But remember, you aren't alone in this. Millions of people are looking at the same calendar and feeling the same budget squeeze you are. The best way to beat the stress is to have a plan before the money even arrives. When you aren't caught off guard, you can't be pushed into a panic. You worked hard for these benefits. You paid into this system for decades. You deserve to have peace of mind knowing exactly when your money is coming and how to make it last. If you found this breakdown helpful and it made you feel a little more prepared, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell. I'm here every week to translate these confusing government updates into plain English so you can get back to enjoying your retirement. Also, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Are you seeing the 2.8% COLA making a difference in your life, or are the rising Medicare premiums and utility rates eating it all up? Your stories help me know what topics to cover next, and they show other viewers that they aren't the only ones feeling the pinch. Keep your head up, stay prepared, and remember, you've handled hard times before, and you'll handle this calendar quirk just fine. I'll see you in the next video.